Hello and welcome. You're watching Global Insight with me, Young. From Arirang News Centre in Seoul, we speak with experts from around the world to hear their views on issues making headlines. Now, Samsung Electronics de facto leader Lee Jae Yong has now become the richest stockholder in South Korea, following his inheritance of part of his father's stocks. The late chairman of Samsung Group, who left his wife and 3 children nearly $21 billion worth of shares across 4 major entities in the chaebol business. But this massive fortune also came with the biggest inheritance tax in South Korea's history, 12.5 trillion won or $10.8 billion. Now, that's an amount too big for even the country's richest family, and we'll be discussing today how they'll be splitting both the bill and the stocks and what this means for the future of Korea's corporate empire. For this, we have Dr. Cho Dong-sung, Professor Emeritus of Strategy at Seoul National University's Business School. We also connect with Dr. Tony Michell, Managing Director of Korea's Associates Business Consultancy Limited, who also authored Samsung Electronics and the Struggle for Leadership of the Electronics Industry. A very warm welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us on the programme today. And well, Dr. Cho, let's start with you. This massive inheritance tax that the Lee family is due to pay. They've already paid 1/6 of it. They paid this last week and plan on paying the rest over the next 5 years. So $10.8 billion. Just how massive is the scale of this inheritance tax, and how are they going to get the money?
Well, I'm not a tax expert nor a financial analyst, so I don't think I'm the best person to answer the question. However, I was told that this is the largest ever inheritance tax paid by any individuals in the world, not only in Korea.
Right, so it's just an incredibly large amount, and it looks like the family really, they tried to divide the stakes, the shares among them so that they can in fact finance this very hefty inheritance tax. And Dr. Cho, it looks like they split the inherited shares according to the proportion set by law for each of the entities, except for shares of Samsung Life Insurance. Why do you think that is? Many people do say it's to solidify Lee Jae Yong's leadership. Do you also see it that way?
Well, again, I'm not a person to answer with any authority on this issue. All I can say is that there is a legal procedures, and I'm sure that they abide by all these legal procedures. And certainly there will be an issue of management control. But again, management control comes with management responsibility. And I believe that they will find solutions which will be best for them to take care of this authority and responsibility.
Well, clearly it would be in their interest to do that, would it not? And well, Dr. Michelle, how do you see this? How do you see this? How do you really interpret the way that the family really divided up the stocks?
Well, as you say, the giving Lee Jae Yong all the Samsung Life shares allows him greater control over Samsung Electronics. So I think that makes sense within the family structure of what they've been doing since late Lee Jae Yong was hospitalized. And so I think it's logical.
Dr. Michelle, now Lee Jae Yong is now the richest stockholder in Korea with his many shares in Samsung Life Insurance, which is the biggest stakeholder of Samsung Electronics. But he's also currently in prison 2.5 years for embezzlement and bribery charges. How will Lee Jae Yong's ongoing legal issues affect the future of Samsung Electronics? And well, what do you think are the risks, and do you think he can solidify his leadership?
It's certainly a big problem, and I am not clear how much communication he has when he's in prison with the rest of Samsung organization. But certainly it puts Samsung Group at a disadvantage in a very fast-moving world. So Samsung is going to have to rely on the quality of the many good people who are working in the company to make minute-by-minute decisions.
And
my other concern is that it may delay M&A in particular, where Samsung needs to acquire or indeed might need to divest certain assets to stay fully relevant in the next 5 years.
Right, so in terms of really setting its future direction, the key important strategic decisions that need to be made, Lee Jae Yong's leadership is needed in this, it seems. And well, Dr. Cho, how do you see this? Where do you see the future of this company going with these kinds of variables, these factors that are currently at play?
Well, there are always two sides of the coin, and I'm sure that the relative inability for Lee Jae Yong to communicate directly with the rest of the people at Samsung will certainly change the way the 재벌그룹인 Korea had been running in the past. All I can say is that they will have to change the way they communicate and make decisions from the past. And I believe that there are many ways for them to communicate while Lee Jae Yong is away from the headquarters. But still, well, when the dust gets settled, we will find which way would have been the best. And I'm sure that they will find ways for them to coordinate, communicate, and make decisions.
And Dr. Michell, I understand that you also teach change management at KDI School. From that perspective, do you think Samsung's ownership and governance structure right now is competitive in this day and age, or do you think it's quite overstretched as an empire? What kind of changes do you think are due in this family-owned business?
Well, there is no magic single governance structure which works. If you look at the big companies around the world, you have the Wallenbergs controlling nearly all of Swedish industry, for example. You have a Ford as the titular chairman of Ford. So there isn't anything that says that families cannot run empires. It's just not the usual way that we expect organizations to be managed. And so I think rather than looking at the governance at the top, we need to look at how management works further down in the company. In change management for all organizations, empowering managers at a lower level has been the most effective method for managing change smoothly.
And Dr. Cho, I know you have your opinion on this as well. Would you agree with what Dr. Michell said? Do you see any necessary changes that are needed in this gigantic empire that is Samsung Group?
Well, I'm in full agreement with what Tony said right now. I'm sure that changes bring to the companies opportunities. And I believe that this is the right time for them to change the way the companies run. And Tony mentioned governance. I believe that there are many ways for this governance to be structured. And I'm sure that in the past, Samsung and other 재벌 groups in Korea had been run in a way which had pros and cons. But pros are that they're very effective and very fast in the decision-making process. But the cons are that sometimes they may have been over-dependent on a single individual. And as a result, there could have been some risks associated with a single person run decision system. I'm sure that this is a golden opportunity for them to move to the kind of system and the process which will be best for the future. And I'm sure that Samsung is mature enough with good group of people, and they will find ways for them to have a balanced way of decision in a proper way through legal and societally acceptable ways of making decisions. I'm very positive on the way Samsung will be heading toward.
And Dr. Cho, what do you make of this donation that Samsung is planning on making on its part, contributing to society with the artwork that late Chairman Lee Jae Yong had, and also contributions towards public health?
Yes, indeed. I believe that we have to separate the inheritance tax issue and the social contribution. As you said, there has been a massive amount of inheritance tax, but that is a kind of a legal issue, and there's nothing that we need to say which was good or bad. Well, we are simply abiding by the laws and regulations, and I'm sure that they are doing it. Away from this inheritance tax, the social contribution is probably what should be focusing on. They have the family members have decided to donate in the name of late Lee Jae Yong an amount of 4 trillion won, 1 trillion won to medical sort of contribution, and 3 million in the form of art and other valuable pieces. And I'm sure that this, together with a few incidences that we had experienced in the last couple of months, such as Mr. Kim Bum-soo, who is the chairman of Kakao Group, announced that he would donate 5 trillion won, which is about half of what he has from from Kakao. And this amount is about the same as what Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has in endowment. And Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the biggest sort of NGO in the world with very valuable causes. I'm sure that we have this Kim Bum-soo who has this matching amount, and also that was followed by Kim Bong-jin, the founder of Baemin. He announced 550 billion Korean won for the worthy causes. I think together with these incidences, Lee Jae Yong family's decision has made a kind of critical point for Korea to move from the past way of rich family practice to the new sort of paradigm. And I'm sure that is very healthy, constructive, and good for the Korean society in general, and in particular for the kind of value system that is rich people have in Korea. And I'm sure that there will be many others who will follow this practice. And I'm sure that the year 2021 will be remembered as the year that we are moving from the past to the future with a very robust economic system associated with a very healthy practice and attitude by those who belong to 0.1%.
Right.
I'm sure that
so when we talk about the future direction of Samsung, it's not just about those corporate strategies or increasing profit, but now it's also about giving back. And as you said, this has been a good example for other companies in the world as well. But Dr. Michelle, your book, Samsung Electronics and the Struggle for Leadership of the Electronics Industry, this was published 11 years ago, but it does still ring very true today. Samsung Electronics, throughout the years, it's been a very fast follower and is now a strong market contender in hardware. But it does appear to be lagging behind a little bit on the software part. What are the biggest challenges that you think the company is going to face as we see more and more of these emerging technologies and platforms arising, not only from traditional IT giants, but entrepreneurs as well?
Well, this is related to whether Lee Jae Yong is in a position to make the big bets on which technology Samsung should follow. Because in a sense, the old idea of software, of someone sitting and writing code, is almost obsolete. We expect AI and other machine systems to be writing software in the future. And therefore, AI is probably the area that Samsung has to, and indeed is, concentrating on one side of the future of digitalization. And they have AI centers in the US, in Cambridge, in the UK, in Paris, and other locations. On the other hand is the future of the semiconductor. And there are new technologies which will be more energy efficient, which we will need as we move to different kinds of devices and so on. So essentially, moving to the new technology at the right time is very important. I believe that Samsung is doing all the research, but then at some point, somebody's going to have to put a lot of money on the table to actually build these new fabs and so on. For the moment, I think I wouldn't worry too much about software in the old sense. I worry about more foundry capacity around the world, because at the moment, as you know, we're in a chip shortage. There's new technology which replaces 1,000 chips with one chip and a bit of AI on the top. So it's not quite clear how much extra capacity we need, but certainly Samsung, to continue its leadership in semiconductors, needs more foundry capacity.
Well, it does look like a very pivotal year for Samsung and Korean society as well, given the sheer size and scale that this conglomerate has in this country. But hopefully, again, it will be a good way forward, both in the economic and social elements there. And well, this is where we must end the interview today. But that was Dr. Jo Dong-sung, Professor Emeritus of Strategy at Seoul National University's Business School, and Dr. Tony Michell, Managing Director of Korea Associates Business Consultancy Limited. Thank you both so much for your insights today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to our viewers, as always, thank you very much for watching.